Hey, everybody, welcome to the What's Up Solar Podcast. This is really not a podcast. This is a discussion because there are some discussions that are happening related to rapid shutdown. Now, funny thing, I was on a panel at NAPSAP with Mr. Penelva discussing this very thing. The problem was because of where I was seated, I couldn't hear very well and I couldn't see the things very well, but I kind of got the gist of it. So I have Greg here with me, and Greg made a post the other day. And Greg, I want you to just recap your stance from your post because it created a 50-50 split, so to speak.
That's being generous.
You know, it's talking about the unintended consequences, as you can see on the screen, of rapid shutdown devices and safety in commercial rooftop systems. Now, part of that states that, and if I can find it here, that there were a certain amount of incidents. I think it was, here we go, 74. RSDs caused at least 74 high-risk safety incidents since 2021, including fires. PV systems with RSDs or rapid shutdown devices are 66% more likely to have critical safety risks than those without module level power electronics. Systems with MLPE have 34% more major critical connection issues than systems without MLPE. Now, Greg, this is like calling your baby ugly.
Yeah, and a mutual friend that we have, Ben Castillo, when I was at SMA, when Enphase hit and started kicking SMA's butt in the residential market, he always said there's three things that you don't debate because the topic just gets too heavy. That's politics, religion, and MLPE. You can throw favorite breakfast cereal in there if you want to, but those are the three big ones.
So, MLPE has its place. And you and I had a conversation yesterday about this very thing over the telephone. And my stance is this: I come from the string inverter world. I was introduced into solar in the string inverter world, especially with the time I've been in it. MLPE wasn't a thing, it was just being birthed. And MLPE then wasn't so much about rapid shutdown as it was about shade mitigation and monitoring and localized monitoring.
Optimization.
Yeah. But then in 2014, we start moving through the landscape. We start moving through the landscape with arc fault detection, rapid shutdown, where you had to be 10 feet outside the array boundary. And I remember scrambling to come out with a product to comply with the NEC code. Now, I'm going to say this. MLPE is a major factor in probably 16% of the installations globally.
Hmm.
When it about there somewhere, don't quote me on the number, but it's not the majority globally. Because when I'm in Austria visiting my in-laws, don't see it. It's just slap, 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 string it up, conduit into your boxes and into your inverter. That's the light version of it. But when we get to United States, and here's my take on the whole situation. I don't have a problem with rapid shutdown. I don't have a problem with MLPE. It's apples and oranges. What is your application? So if you have a house like mine, and if you were to see my house going forward, which is south, there's this line of trees that are on my neighbor's property, and they cast shadows across my yard and across my house. MLPE is a good item for me because I have a bunch of weird shading that happens throughout the year. My contention with it is when it's mandatory. Yeah, that's my contention. When it's made mandatory, because what if I'm sitting out in a farm like 20 miles south of me? I got a farmhouse. I have no shading whatsoever. And I have to increase my costs because it wouldn't happen in Indiana, by the way, because we're on 2008.
How's that feel?
I mean, but people comply with it just to stay in the know. But I'm saying one of the things that is, and I'm playing the devil's advocate against you, okay? One thing about it is it drives up my cost. If I'm balling on a budget and I'm like, man, I just spent like 5 grand on these modules, 2 grand on this inverter, a couple of grand on balance of system. Now I got to add another couple grand onto because I have to have rapid shutdown on each device.
Yeah, and that is a fair point, right? And you and I came from string inverters. I think you were at Fronius, I was at SMA, and nobody wants to be forced to do something that increases cost and complexity, right?
That's it.
So I think there is a significant amount in our industry of butthurt that people have to comply with this. I was one of them, right? But to answer your early question, and we just kind of floated off, I created that LinkedIn post and I also made a blog on my website, snarkysolarguy.com, to go with the video that I put on LinkedIn. Because I know, my bedside manner is probably not the best, right? So
No, not you, Greg.
I made a video, but then I made it, on my website. Actually, it's my author's website, and I get into it a lot more deeper with a lot less profanity. And the reason that I wrote that and made the video is because I saw another LinkedIn post from a prominent guy in our industry who's very active on social media that pointed to this report. And he said, there you go, MLPE cause fires. And when I saw other people just reposting his post and saying the same thing, it really grinded on my nerves, right? And so my whole thesis statement for this is everybody wants to blame the hardware. But if you look at what actually fails, and if you scroll down, excuse me, if you scroll down and look at the issues right there, those pictures, if you look at the issues that people are having with MLPE, it's the same mistakes that we've seen since we've been in this industry.
You're breaking up a little bit, Greg. But really quickly here, so I do understand this because I've seen it happen with MLPE as a instructor, a field instructor, and a quality field instructor with a company that shall be nameless at this point. I've seen where the MLP is installed upside down. If it's installed upside down, then it doesn't have breathe room. Um, and you can get thermal images where it's just a wee bit too hot, a wee bit too close. So you have two things that are hot. With current going through those, you have a long term, is it depends on where you're installing too. I've seen things where people have pulled a little bit too hard, where things aren't, and they just let it go. It's damaged, but they're like, it'll work.
Yeah.
A lot of these can be attributed to how it's installed, which goes back to my soapbox that I've been on. We're missing some things that people need desperately, which is live training. They
Uh,
need to be able to have tactile information in their brains from their hands, eyes, ears, nose, whatever, so they understand how it's supposed to be done from the manufacturer. You're gonna rail on me. Greg is our RTFM guru, but I said this in my training. We are living in a time where we have upwards of 4 generations in the field. We have boomers, we have us, which is Gen X, we have millennials, Gen Z, and then we have alphas, which are coming on board now. All these people learn differently, and if we don't give them the information how they need to understand it so that we can mitigate stuff like this, these things will happen. But to get back to the point, the whole thing is with this, I don't think it's I think the impetus of the angst comes from the fact that you have to put these on most structures. I've been a Tygo fan since like 20. I think I first got wind 2013 at NAPSAT. And I was like, that is a cool concept. Before that was before MLPE became a thing. Oh, I can see exactly what my module's doing. I can see what the temperature is. I can extract the most amount of energy out of this. That's a beautiful thing. That way it can become necessary when needed, an option for today's climate because here we have where data is king. And the more data you have, the better you can perform in operation and maintenance. But like I said, and I'll get your rebuttal on this because I've been talking enough. It's the fact that we have to put it on anything that's a dwelling or a structure.
Yeah, sorry, there's a boat going by. You can probably see him right there.
You're living that life, dude.
Yeah, I know. As a matter of fact, I got a pole in the water here, so I jump over and grab it. Don't be mad.
I won't.
But you touch on a lot of good stuff, right? And these pictures right here, like nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see burned up product. Nobody wants to see burned up, arrays. But my contention is that that's not the fault of MLPE. Okay, MLPE exposed a problem that we have in our industry, a continuing problem. That's the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about.
Say it one more time. Poor workmanship.
Or workmanship. I know, like internet's the most body.
That's what happens when you live in the woods.
Well, nobody wants to talk about that, right? And that's exactly what this report is talking about. Now, if you read that, that's only if you read past the headline. And for people that are just anti-MLPE, they're probably not going to do that. They're going to jump right there. Oh, MLPE caused fires. But when you look at this report and read it, that's not the issue here. It's bad workmanship. And like you said, and like those pictures show, bad crimps, poopy connector that's not MLPE. And you know what's interesting, Emmitt, is that Heliovolta did this report.
Hmm.
I think it was 3 years ago. They did a joint report with NREL, very respected organization. And that whole report was about connectors, poor crimps, using improperly mated MC4 connectors.
I've
And
seen the evidence of that. Yes.
yeah, I mean, we all have, right? And so what happened in 3 years? They went from, hey, we really need to get a handle on these connectors to, oh, you know what? MLPE caused fire. Let's get rid of them.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll play the devil's advocate here. And those two actually go hand in hand, and I'm going to tell you why. It goes into like it goes into the fact that you need really good training and people who are passionate about what they do, about the quality that they do. But when you begin to add MLPE, now you increase the number of connections, which can potentially cause a problem. It's Murphy's Law.
So
I,
that's a great point. That's a great point. And what this report shows, and it even says it in the first paragraph that you read, adding MLPE and not installing them correctly or designing the system correctly caused incidents. That's not the same as risk, because there are thousands and thousands of these systems out there using MLPE that are running just fine. And what this report misses is, okay, how many of those are out there? What's the sample size here? Like what percentage right here of these 74 high-risk safety incidents since 2020? 74 out of how many hundreds of thousands of installs? Out of how many millions of MLPE that are out there that are running fine? Because the installers, RTFM, they knew what they were doing. They didn't just go pick people up from the Home Depot parking lot and start slapping glass. And that's another thing that this industry is still struggling with, right? When you and I came in, that's all it was.
yeah,
You put the inverter on a wall, you slap some glass, and then you go home. It ain't like that anymore. It's
no.
much more complex.
Yes. Because
And so
now we have battery, we have power control systems. But, and I'm going to tell you, the litigators early on, they found a doorway to go into, and they stuck with that doorway. There's especially um, talking about firefighters. Firefighters have a special place in our heart in America, and they harped on this. This is what this is for. In addition to, it'll help safety, but the firefighters was the initial, you know, drive everything through the door.
yeah.
Now,
Well, and hang on, just to and just to drive that point home, there was an article that came out. CUNY, I think, is the acronym, and the CUNY, and it was the fire chief in New York that said, "Yeah, we need this stuff to protect our people."
but here's the question. How many firefighters were harmed prior to MLPE and rapid shutdown? The rapid shutdown component in the MLPE.
I
And how
don't know.
many have been after? Here's, and I'm just wondering about this, and I don't know the answer, is was that a crutch that was used for that? Because you have to think about it in this way. Typically, when you're doing this an installation on a residential, you're not going to install up to the ridge, you know, or with the vent line. So, where are you going to vent this house? Are you just going to vent it in the middle, or are you going to vent it where the air is going to rush up? I don't know the answer to
I know the
these.
answer to that. I do because I got two brother-in-laws that were firemen. One still is, El Dorado County. And I asked him many, many years ago when we were having a barbecue in a backyard. I said, "Hey, man, if you come to a house and it's got solar on the roof and it's on fire, what do you do?" Now, the answer 20 years ago was let it burn. Now they've gotten better, right? And so,
Yeah.
no fireman is going to put an axe through those modules. They're not going to do it. Even with all the safety gear, even it would probably be okay. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is vent from the side. Instead of putting holes in the roof, they're going to put them in the side, right? So they're learning as our industry matures.
You know, that makes me wonder. I'm wondering, and I might be opening up a huge can of worms because the next faction is going to be MLPE, not MLPE, but reduction for battery because we're dealing with lithium, and once it hits oxygen, it's a wrap.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot, UL and UL 9540 alpha addresses that, right? So if you have that testing, you can bring in the clearances around the batteries and stuff like that, and that's a good thing. I always a lot of inspectors have issues now because once you have one battery fire, then everybody gets skittish, and I get it.
Yeah.
But they don't want a 20 kilowatt hour lithium battery, system in the garage, but they'll put a 100 kilowatt hour Tesla in the garage, and that's okay.
You don't even you're preaching to the choir. Let's get back to the matter at hand. Here's the thing. We can we can go two ways. So the mandatory, the whole thing for me is the mandatory aspect of rapid shutdown in the fact that they tightened the tolerances, which made it even worse for people or more expensive for people. Given that we had the big, beautiful bill that's kind of decimated our modus operandi as far as the 30% tax credit, we need to make strides to recover that so that it becomes sexy again, that it becomes affordable again. I think if we have an augmented where we think of a conglomeration of UL 3741 uh, and the option for rapid shutdown or some kind of thing for that, I think that would be a much better solution where people have options because you don't want to go to, to get a car. You're like, I just want to get from A to B. Well, you got to get these airbags. You got to get the side airbags. You got to get the seat belts. Oh, we have a special
Like,
window that breaks away, but an airbag comes out of your hood, fills in the area, and you have to have it. Okay, how much is the difference? So you were going to pay $22,000. Now you're going to pay $97,000 for this car. Like I said, it comes down to a choice, especially here in America. You know, freedom of choice is one of those things that people endear. And the other thing I said, it's apples and oranges. If you're going to use it, if you like it, because it's easier to design, not only with like your product, it comes with rapid shutdown, but it makes it easier for you to design and install for if you have newer crews.
yeah, my only issue with that, and this is coming from my background riding nuke subs for 20 years, in the Navy. Our policies and procedures were written in blood, right? Somebody died or got really hurt, and so we had to change the way we do things, right?
Yep.
And so the whole code is full of mandatory things that we have to do,
Yeah.
right? And a PA, we have to do those, right? And so if we're just looking at it from a point of, well, I just don't want to do it because it's mandatory. Well, it's a safety thing, right? And so there's a lot of people out there that just, they couldn't find their ass if they had a flashlight, right? And so those are the people that the safety rules are there to protect.
That is
Now,
true.
now I do get the sentiment that, well, we were doing okay in this industry, and I can debate that too. But we were doing okay before MLPE came along, and now we've got all these issues. And I'm not saying people that are doing these installs, I'm not relating that to the other analogy that I used, but we can tell that there is a workmanship, sloppy,
Oh,
poopy, whatever you want to call it, and they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'll you were at the Solar Games, right? At the
I was near the Solar Games. I didn't participate so much this year.
all right. So there were half a dozen crews, okay, seasoned installers. And Tygo donated the optimizers for that event. And we had our paper right there, a quick start guide on the table. How many of those crews do you think looked at it and followed our connection procedure? One. And they happened to be the one that won the event, right? And this was one of the comments, one of the very first comments that a dear friend of ours, somebody that you and I both know, and I just don't want to name names. I'm not crapping on him. I'm
Come
just
on,
like,
pull that bus out.
Claire.
No, no,
Claire.
don't,
Oh, oh, oh. Okay, we
don't,
can cut that part out.
no.
But
No, we
and
won't.
I love the guy, right? I love that guy. But the first comment made was, well, Greg, not connecting these things properly should not result in his words, he said self-destruct, and that's not a fair analogy. He's thinking about something else. But you know, I cooked some loco moco last weekend. Oh man, well, Google it if you don't know what that is. But I did it on my Blackstone. Okay. And if I didn't hook my propane tank up and started a fire, is that Blackstone's fault? Is that the propane manufacturer tank? Is that their fault? No. And it's the same thing when you do your own brakes. If you don't put it together right and slam into a tree, that's not the car's fault.
Well,
And I don't understand
that's what
why
I said. It
why is
comes,
our industry exempt from all of that stuff?
it's not. And this is why, you know where I'm going to go with this. People, first of all, how many, and I'm going to be gender specific here. How many men do you know go home and they go, I was reading this book last night. So what makes you think they're going to just go through a manual? Those same men have children. They put those Christmas toys together. How many screws do they have left over? I'm just saying. because
Hey, honey, can you come here and turn this thing
I've
on?
while I've done it, and then it's not right. And my wife comes back and oh, let's redo this.
Oh man, that's just
I'm not bashing. I'm just stating I know I've been around people. I've experienced this, and the only way, not the only way, but one of the most secure ways to get the message of how you want quality is to demonstrate it.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, I don't take offense to that at all, dude. Like men don't read, and something I see in our industry is they don't RTFM because I've seen it. I've been on many sites, and the quick start guide, the instructions are in the corner with all the other trash, right?
Hmm.
But the the thing that I see is, and we've all put a bike together, right, for our kids. And you think, well, if I put one bike together, you know, they're all pretty much the same.
Exactly. I'm seeing it across the industry.
And so what we see here where I work is they install our product like they do somebody else's, but we had just a slightly different way of doing it. And so something happens, maybe it just doesn't work, the monitoring's not connecting, you know. And so they get mad at us because it's just easier to do that.
Hey, all I have to say is, um, this is for everybody. This is a motto I live by. Don't hate the player, don't hate the game. Learn the rules so that you can exploit them for everybody's benefit.
Well said, dude. Well said.
And
And
with
I,
that, this is a discussion that should go on. It should be in the diaspora. And the reason for that is because it brings light onto shady practices. And from those shady practices, we can figure out a way to mitigate those shady practices and get people where we need them to be. Like I said, it's it's like apples and oranges. It's like a car. Do you want a Cadillac? Do you want a Lexus? Do you want this or do you want that? What is the application is for? The only thing that I really think, and like you said, it's for safety. But when you tell adults they have to do something, there's always going to be pushback.
always, always. And I'll just, I don't know, if you want to keep going, you
No,
know,
no, no. I know they just called your baby ugly.
well, and so I'll say this. This would, like, if I had a closing line, it would be something like this. You know, we don't have a technology problem in this industry so much as we have a consistency problem on the way things are designed and installed and built.
Yes. You know why that is?
Tell me.
It's called apprenticeship. It's called keeping people who do their thing and love to do their thing where they need to be, and then having them be the mentors for those who are coming through. We used to have that, but we've gotten away with it because they call, it's gotten out of hand and it can be considered hazing in some respects when people aren't responsible enough. But when done correctly, and I'm thinking of Germany, Austria, and some of the other countries that start apprenticeships at the age of like 14. So by the time you're 24, you're an expert in what you do. You know what needs to be done, and you know the standards for which it needs to be done. And with that, I I understand your position, but I also understand the some of the opposition as well. And for me, it comes down to I need options.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And like I said, my bedside manner's not great. I'm sure people that watch this, they're gonna pick like one thing that I said and just bash me on it. But
I mean, we're no, don't think of it like that. We're having a healthy debate, and that's what it's for. And that's what's
How's that been working the last 5 years?
uh,
Having the debates.
yeah, fair. Hey man, I'm about to go make me some loco moco.
You'll love it, dude. You'll love
I
it.
I had that in Hawaii, except it had spam on it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
There's
like.
all, it's good, man.
I grew up as a, a financially challenged sometimes kid in Detroit. Spam and free cheese. Sorry, I'm just not in my house now. Hey, everybody. Hey, Greg, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you opening up so we can have this open dialogue. If anyone has, I'm gonna post it on LinkedIn in its entirety. Probably gonna do some little graphics in here. But if you have a comment, hey, let's talk about it. And if you have a point counterpoint, we can do it again. Just contact Emmitt. I'll get Greg together and it'll be like a presidential debate. Till next time, love y'all. Peace.